In today's video, we're going to go over a pretty fun topic that is another we visit every year. We're going to go over the most hated players throughout the league. For some, they may have a previous reputation they can't seem to shake. And for others, well, they constantly seem to be doing things not only to get opponents to despise them, but also fans. And with that, here are the top 9 most hated NHL players of 2023. Even though he's no longer the kid he once was, Sidney Crosby is still regarded as one of the best players in the game. But if we're being honest, in the earlier stages of his career, Crosby didn't have the best reputation. His tendency to lobby for calls and to be light on his feet definitely rubbed spectators the wrong way. This paired with the title of the NHL's Golden Boy made Crosby a natural target for opposing players. Over time, however, Crosby has matured and has managed to win just about every award imaginable. Therefore, this has helped the captain win over some NHL fans, but not everyone, as some still have struggled to part with their initial impression of Crosby, and haven't strayed from it at all. At the time I'm making this video, well, let's just say it plain and simple, the Vancouver Canucks are a mess. And while there seems to be plenty of blame to go around, at least here lately, many have been focusing on JT Miller as the biggest reason for the dysfunction. After Miller decided to yell at his netminder in plain sight and take zero accountability for it, well, this severely damaged his reputation. Miller also went on to say that his lack of offensive production could be attributed to his decision to focus on his two-way game. Fans also didn't seem to take this well at all, since Miller had been previously called out by former Canuck himself, Kevin Bieksa, for his lack of back-checking. The overall narrative that Vancouver fans favor is one where JT Miller only played at 100% in order to secure a contract, and after, he quit on the team altogether. There also seems to be some resentment towards Miller due to the fact that he could be the reason as to why Captain Bo Horvat moves on from BC for good. Known as a player that never shies away from laying the body, Jacob Trouba has become known as one of those guys you just don't want to mess with on ice. At 6'3" and over 200 pounds, Trouba has always played with a bite in his game. However, especially more here recently, the amount of injuries that occurred due to the defenseman being physical began to rub NHL fans the wrong way. I think most of us can remember the last postseason in particular. It seemed like every few games there was a player being injured or shaken up. This definitely didn't help Trouba's already fragile reputation. Even when he received captaincy this past offseason, it seemed like the noise around him became even louder. Even his peers started in on the captain. Andreas Athanasiou, for instance, said, "That guy is known for hitting high, not really worrying about the puck out there, and almost trying to hurt people. That's his game. That's what he does," he says. If you've been a hockey fan for a hot minute, you'll know exactly why Tony DeAngelo is here, as a defenseman, for most of his career, has struggled to keep his attitude in check. During his days in the OHL, for example, DeAngelo repeatedly violated the abuse and diversity policies. Later on, after making his way to the NHL, DeAngelo also was suspended for abusing officials. By the time his incident with former teammate Alex Georgiev unfolded, the hockey world was already indifferent towards him. However, at the time I'm making this video, DeAngelo has been able to stay out of the headlines and has been doing a better job at keeping his temper in check. Ever since 2005, Corey Perry has been finding ways to stir and to rattle the opposition. And while he's obviously perfected the art of being a pest, he's also gained a lot of haters in the process. From elbowing Ryan Ellis at the Winter Classic to cross-checking Marian Hossa in 2014, Perry has given NHL fans so many reasons to dislike him. After receiving the Rocket Richard and Hart trophies both in 2011, it became blatantly obvious that Perry didn't have to play such a menacing style of game. However, once a worm, always a worm, I suppose, as Perry has been tormenting NHL opponents with his antics for nearly 2 decades. Entertaining, hot-tempered, and unpredictable. Those are a few words that describe Blues goalie Jordan Binnington quite well. Ever since he emerged in net in 2019, Binnington has been routinely involved in extracurricular activities. From trying to check opponents to having repeated meltdowns after being pulled, the goaltender has made it pretty easy to despise him. His feud with Nazem Kadri last postseason only dampened his reputation further. After he resorted to the juvenile gesture of throwing his water bottle at Kadri, hockey fans outside of STL were on Team Kadri. Anyways, while he's always exciting to watch, Binnington's behavior has definitely caused many to not like him. Even though Tom Wilson hasn't played an official game yet this season, it didn't make sense not to include him. Wilson, unlike most on this list, is a completely different animal, meaning that he's not just your typical pest that's trying to stir the pot. Instead, Wilson is severely disliked by the majority of hockey fans due to his lack of just caring about his opponent's safety. Oscar Sundqvist, Zach Aston Reese, or Timmy Panarin, I could keep going, but the list of players he's injured is a pretty long one. However, if you're a Capitals fan watching, you're probably getting that Wilson jersey ready, as the forward is set to return to game action here shortly. Ever since he played his first NHL game as a rookie, Matthew Tkachuk has been trying his hardest to rattle any opponent he can. From Drew Doughty to Zach Kassian, typically if Tkachuk senses a loose cannon around him, he works extra hard to exploit them. And when he's not doing that, Tkachuk is usually trying to get by with as much as he can elsewhere. Here recently, this season, Tkachuk was suspended after he purposefully turned his stick into Jonathan Quick's mask. Tkachuk, who decided to stoop to such a level, didn't exactly help repair his reputation in doing so. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Brad Marchand is hated by pretty much anyone who isn't a Boston Bruins fan. And if you want to know why, I recommend that you take a look at his lengthy suspension and fine record. As a rat, as he's called, has been playing with a certain edge that's caused him to lose over $1.4 million in salary. And I'm not kidding. Aside from slew-footing, kneeing, etc., Marchand has embraced the role of being an antagonist to a T. Last season, for instance, he made Artemi Panarin so furious that he literally threw his glove at him while on the bench. Basically, if you have an ounce of reactivity on you, Marchand will find a way to sniff it out. Pun intended.